He clearly had just had enough.
Yeah.
You know, it was like Chael Sonnen said it best. He came for a fight, he got into a fight, and when he realized that he had had enough, he called it a day. Yeah. What's up, Barnhill family? Welcome back to the channel.
Yo.
So Nick Diaz, Robbie Lawler, where do we even begin? Man. What a fight. I mean, this was like two angry drunk guys in a phone booth punching each other in the face until one essentially said he had enough. Nick Diaz from the walkout last night, it appeared to me like something was off. He tried to get into the octagon with his shirt on. It seemed very confusing there, the walkout. I just think it's kind of the realness of the moment and the fact that, hey, you're about to get into a fist fight inside of a cage for the first time in over 2,000 days kind of got to him there at the last second.
Yeah, and it was very interesting. You know, anybody who says that ring rust isn't a real thing needs to watch that fight because Nick Diaz has more fighting experience than almost anybody on the planet. And after 2,500 days of not fighting, you can tell there was some rust that he needed to get off. You know, the first round was very fun. It was like old school UFC fighting. And they kind of both agreed to not really throw any kicks. We'll throw a couple here and there, but let's just throw some hands, give these people the fight that they want to see. I think Robbie Lawler was the perfect opponent for Nick Diaz to come back to, you know, because they are kind of the same generation. The fight that they had was a great, fun fight, a classic. If you go back and watch, you'll really enjoy it. 17 years ago, but 17 years is a long time. And to be doing this sport and to be taking this kind of damage for 17 years plus is brutal on the body. And if you're not training this every single day, if you're not living that lifestyle, which I'm not saying Robbie Lawler and Nick Diaz aren't living the martial arts lifestyle, but when you're not engaged in a fight camp time in and time out, and you're just, you know, you're kind of thinking about taking a fight and you're not really sure which way you're going to go.
Doing a triathlon.
Yeah. Maybe take a few months off here and there. You're just not at that level with those guys that are evolving and moving the sport at the pace that we're moving the sport at. You know, anytime we get to see a absolute living legend fight, we're going to let it happen. And I don't think that Nick Diaz is near the position of some of the guys that we've seen, the older gentlemen that are fighting. I don't think he's anywhere near that. I'm still down to watch Nick Diaz compete in the sport, in the UFC. But let's lower our expectations a little bit. We'll do what Conor McGregor called the hashtag OG League and let these guys fight each other because they brought the house down when Nick Diaz came out. People want to see the Diaz brothers. They want to see Conor McGregor. They want to see Robbie Lawler. These older gentlemen have a place in this sport, and believe it or not, they do really good things for the up-and-comers, for the champions, you know, as far as moving the needle. I bet you if Nick Diaz wasn't on that card last night, the pay-per-views wouldn't be as high as they were. So
no doubt.
There's a lot of things to thank Nick Diaz for, an epic performance, bringing some people to, some attention to the show. And, you know, it wasn't his night, but I kind of saw it coming once we saw him walk out.
Yeah, he clearly had just had enough. Yeah. You know, it was like Chael Sonnen said it best. He came for a fight, he got into a fight, and when he realized that he had had enough, he called it a day. Yeah. I mean, it looked at the end there was confusing, like he had grabbed his leg, like something happened to his leg. But I went back and looked at it. Robbie landed a clean check hook as Nick was coming in, which buckled his knees. And then he followed that up with an uppercut that landed flush on the chin.
Bloodied his nose, too, earlier.
Exactly. That was kind of all Nick needed. What's interesting to me is Nick posted some videos and pictures from about 6 months ago where he was ripped to the bone and in shape. Yeah. He did not look, his body did not look the same last night, which was interesting to me. On top of the fact that he said he weighed 168 at that time, but then requested a 185 weigh-in, which the whole thing was just very strange to me. I think something really important happened last night for Nate Diaz. Yeah. Nate Diaz has said time and time again when he gets on the microphone, if you think I'm good, my brother Nick is the best fighter in the world. And you see that a lot of times where the younger brother will give the older brother props that maybe they don't even deserve because they just have that respect there. But I think Nate realized last night, and we all did as well, because we all still had questions. We saw Nick in there against Silva looking pretty good last time we saw him. Is Nick really still the best Diaz brother, or has Nate surpassed him unequivocally Nate Diaz is the best Diaz brother right now.
Yeah, and I think that Nick Diaz's star was huge. He was one of the biggest stars in the UFC and one of the biggest stars the sport's ever seen. But when Nate Diaz beat Conor McGregor and shocked the world and became the guy, the number 2 guy only behind Conor McGregor in the entire sport, Nick Diaz catapulted right back up into stardom.
Right.
And he was, it was really cool actually, because when you have the second biggest star in the sport going, I'm tough, but wait till you see my older brother. You can't help but be like, oh man, there's this dude, you might have heard of Nate Diaz, but wait till you see OG Nick Diaz.
His brother Nick.
He's even cooler. Yeah. He's the guy that taught Nate everything that he knows, not just the fighting, but the mentality, the war Diaz style, the scrap pack. He's the leader, all this stuff. So there was a real allure around the Diaz brothers, and Nate helped catapult Nick just like Nick helped catapult Nate back in the day. I feel like Nick Diaz, his time is just past. They've been doing this forever. They've been professionally fighting, both of them, since they were about 20 years old
or younger.
Right.
They're teenage, they're like 17, 18,
right,
something like that.
At the highest level for 20 years, both of them. So we really have to understand that maybe a fight with Kamaru Usman is not the fight for Nick Diaz.
No.
But there's definitely some fun matchups that we can make for these guys. And like I said earlier, I really do think that if you put these guys in these 5-round fights, let the Diaz boys be the 5-round guys that are not main or co-main events, but they're 5-rounders. They bring people to the stadiums. They bring eyes to the show, and they get the crowd going wild. And you put them in there with competitive people. Robbie Lawler was perfect.
Yeah.
I think that a couple years from now, Conor McGregor, Nick Diaz, Conor McGregor, Nate Diaz, those are awesome fights that have to happen. But maybe they aren't for a title. Maybe they aren't for a number 1 contendership. There's some real monsters that are emerging in these sports, in these divisions, and we need to let them get their shine. I understand that Conor and Nate are the best for business, and Nick's really good for business, but they're not as competitive with these other guys, and there's still a lot of space for them in the sport. But we just have to kind of create that hashtag OG League and let them do their thing.
And speaking of the guy who coined the OG League term, I would never have thought before last night that Robbie Lawler could potentially be a front runner for a Conor McGregor fight. But I think that there's an outside chance in that now, because we know Conor likes to put former champions on his resume. What you did in your career really matters to Conor. He wants to beat the champs of old, the champs of new, and he knows also right now he's not really trying to get into the mix at the top of 155, especially with Islam Makhachev.
He's even trying to move up in weight.
On his way to the top. So I think that we could actually, believe it or not, and this may sound crazy, see a situation where Robbie Lawler earns himself a fight against Conor McGregor, and Conor kind of looks at it as a cowboy situation. Hey, this guy's got a lot of clout. He's a legend. Robbie has what Cowboy doesn't even have, which is he's a former champion. I think I can beat him. It's the fun type of fight that plays right into my quick boxing, because Robbie was landing last night, but it was a much slower pace than what Conor can land his shots at. Just a crazy thought. You guys call me crazy if you think I am, but I actually could see Robbie Lawler versus Conor McGregor based upon what happened last night.
Yeah, as I was watching the fight, I sat there and I'm thinking, because Conor's got about a year to come back, so he's got to do a lot of rehabbing, but they're going to want to ease him back into something, and he's going to want to fight somebody that's relevant. And a win over Nick Diaz in a 5-round fight on a pay-per-view makes Robbie Lawler relevant again. He is a former champion. I'm sitting there going, you know what? Never in a million years would I have thought Robbie Lawler would ever get a fight with Conor McGregor. But Conor does kind of like to pick and choose, and he's in the position where he can do that. I think that he sees, 10 years down the road, when you see a potential win over Robbie Lawler on his resume, that's really big for him. I think that's something cool. I think that he's trying to move up to 170. He's even joking about 185, but 170 is probably where Conor will fight next. Robbie Lawler would take that fight in a second. I don't know if Conor could knock him out, because Robbie's got such a chin, but another year or so of Robbie getting older and maybe doing another fight in between then could set Conor up for a big fight. And I think that those guys would be, it would be very competitive. Conor would kind of toy with him as far as the mental warfare goes, but it would appear like Robbie would be unfazed by it, and it would just wind up being a really fun fight. I think that never in a million years did we think Robbie Lawler would get a fight with Conor McGregor. It just wasn't in the cards, but things change in this sport, and I really do like that as an option for Conor McGregor's return. And I like that for Robbie Lawler because that man deserves to get a big payday, and no better person to get it off of than Conor McGregor.
That's for damn sure. Well, guys, thanks so much for watching this video. If you've enjoyed the content, a like, comment, and subscribe is always appreciated. And if you listen to audio podcasts, check out the Barnhill Brothers there as well. And until the next one, have a great day.
Peace.